I'm a 28-year-old woman, and I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend, who's 30, for nearly 8 years. We moved in together about 4 years ago and slowly built a life around shared memories, vacations, mutual friends, our pets. From the outside, we looked like the kind of couple that everyone expected would eventually get married. Everything seemed steady and predictable. But over the last year, something in me shifted. It started with my boss. He's 45, and it wasn't some grand scheme or a calculated decision. It just unfolded gradually. At first, it was all very professional. Texts about deadlines, follow-ups after hours. Then his messages became more relaxed. A meme here, a casual chat there. He started hanging around after work under the pretense of last-minute tasks. Sometimes he didn't have much to say at all. Just stood near my desk, lingered and left. But that unspoken tension, that unacknowledged energy, made it feel like something was blooming. Something forbidden, yes, but also strangely thrilling. After a company dinner one evening, he asked if I wanted to grab a drink with him. I didn't hesitate. I said yes, not because I planned to betray anyone, but because it felt like a relief, a break from the dullness of my life. That night set everything in motion. He's married with 2 children, and has been with his wife since college. On the surface, their life seems flawless. But in private conversations, he's painted a very different picture. He says their love faded a long time ago, that they live like polite strangers, sleeping in separate rooms and barely speaking unless it's about their kids. I believed him. Part of me still does. And somewhere along the way, I started needing him more than I should. Being with him made me feel like I mattered again. At work, people half-jokingly refer to me as his office wife. They don't know the truth, but their teasing feeds something deep inside me. A part that's been starved of affection, of feeling wanted. When he tells me I'm smart, that I'm important, that he regrets not meeting me earlier, I believe it, even when I shouldn't. Compared to that intensity, my relationship at home feels lifeless. My boyfriend and I have turned into cohabitants. We go to work, eat, watch TV, and sleep on opposite sides of the bed. There's no touch, no spark. I do love him, but it's not the kind of love that burns. And I think it took meeting someone else to realize just how distant we've become. The physical connection with my boss is unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's wild, raw, all-consuming. He seems to instinctively know what I crave without me saying a word. We've done things in his office, in tucked-away hotel rooms, even planned getaways together. There was a weekend trip to a music festival. We never made it to the festival. I told my boyfriend it was for work. I'd picked the dates deliberately, knowing he couldn't come. He was hurt, but didn't question me too much. But lately he's been acting differently. More guarded. More curious. He's started asking where I'm going, who I'm with, even when I'm just meeting friends. There's a tension that lingers between us now, and I feel it every time he looks at me. The guilt, the lies, they're starting to wear me down. I feel like I'm walking a tightrope between 2 lives. Part of me wants to believe this affair could turn into something real. That maybe somehow my boss and I could start fresh. But reality keeps interrupting those dreams. He still goes home to his wife. He says he's going to leave, but there's always a reason not to. A big work presentation, a parent-teacher night, a family event. And I'm stuck waiting, hoping, while he continues to live in 2 worlds, just like I do. There are moments when I truly hate myself. For wanting more than I have, for being too afraid to let either man go. I'm not proud of the choices I've made, but pretending I don't want what I want doesn't make it go away. Then 2 nights ago, everything unraveled. I'd gone out with some girlfriends for dinner. No secret meetups, no hidden agenda. Just a simple evening out. But when I checked my phone afterward, I saw a string of missed calls and frantic messages from my best friend. She told me that my boyfriend had shown up at her house, dumped all of my things, suitcases, bags, even boxes, on her doorstep, and left. He didn't knock. He didn't say anything. He just put my life out on the pavement like it meant nothing and drove away. She had watched it all happen through the window, too stunned to move. And that was it. No fight, no confrontation, no dramatic scene. Just silence and finality. She stared out the window, phone in hand, heart racing with dread. She had tried calling him, again and again, but he wouldn't pick up. Her messages went unanswered. Panic took hold, and she drove straight to the apartment they had shared. When she arrived, she found the locks had been changed. She stood there in the hallway, stunned, unable to process the brutal finality of it. With nowhere else to go, her best friend offered her a spare room. It's small, cluttered, and far from comfortable, especially with the second bedroom crammed with office equipment. She sleeps on a sagging couch, trying to hold herself together in the chaos. But she knows, deep down, that he must have discovered something she never intended for him to see. She's consumed with anger at her own carelessness. Her boss was quick to reach out after she told him what happened. He sent a message saying she didn't deserve to be treated that way, and even offered her a place to stay if she needed it. That kind of support was a balm to her wrecked emotions. She agreed to see him that evening, desperate for human contact, for someone to wrap their arms around her and make her feel like she still mattered. Still, despite everything, some stubborn part of her keeps hoping for reconciliation. She wishes she could rewind time, fix what's broken between her and her boyfriend, but she has no clue where to start. On top of the emotional wreckage, financial troubles are looming. She's been scouring listings for tiny, affordable studio apartments, but even the cheapest options are a stretch. She'd save some money back when things were still normal, but it's not enough. She might have to sell her car and downgrade, just to stay afloat. It all feels like a collapse, a crash back into the instability she thought she'd outgrown. She's 28, yet it feels like she's 21 again. Broke, disoriented, and starting from nothing. Then came the final blow. After days of complete silence, he sent a single text. One sentence. There's nothing left to fix. That was when she understood. While she was out to dinner recently, he must have gone through her laptop. He figured out her usual password, and it gave him access to a hidden photo album she thought she'd deleted long ago. Buried in there was a picture. One she had truly believed was gone forever. She was in a hotel bed, barely clothed, smiling at the camera, with her boss behind her, half covered by the sheets. She stared at his message for what felt like an eternity. Then, hands shaking, she sent a desperate reply, begging for a conversation, a chance to explain. But there was no answer. He didn't lash out, didn't accuse her. He just disappeared. Blocked her everywhere, calls, texts, social media. Even their mutual friends had been told not to mention her. It was as if he had erased her from his life entirely. And now she's left with silence. She misses him in 1,000 little ways. Not just the romance, but the friendship, the comfort of their routines. Sunday morning coffees. His off-key singing in the car. The shared glances and private jokes. All of it gone like it never existed. The absence feels like a physical injury. She saw her boss last night. They talked about everything. She tried to gently bring up what their future could look like, but the moment turned tense. He admitted he cared about her, but he couldn't risk damaging his children's lives. He needed space. She wanted to scream. To tell him not to dangle her along while he sat comfortably in the life she had just lost. But she smiled, nodded, and said she understood. She knows if she pushes, he'll disappear too. She's already seen the way other women at work watch him. How ready they'd be to step into her place. She isn't naive. Not anymore. He's heading to a conference in Miami next week, and asked if she'd come with him. She said yes. She's not even sure why. Maybe she hopes that, away from the noise and guilt, he'll choose her. Maybe she's lying to herself. She's still staying at her friend's place, but she knows the invitation is wearing thin. Her friend is trying to be kind, but this can't last. Yesterday, she visited a tiny apartment that reeked of mildew and despair. Still, she filled out the rental application. It's all she can afford now. A year ago, her life was full of promise. She had love, stability, a home. Now everything is gone. She's clinging to pieces, to people who can barely offer more than fragments. She looks back and can't help but feel that none of it, none of what she threw away, was ever worth it. And now she's left with regret that burns deeper than anything she's ever known. Living out of bags. Waiting for a married man's message. Wondering how she ended up so far from the life she once had.